Hey y'all. Um, I guess I'm gonna try this 3 times today because third time's always a charm for me, or the 15th time. And I'm also gonna start calling these car sessions because apparently I sit in the car a lot and make videos, but it's also where I'm most comfortable. Um, and I get inspired for some reason when I'm out and about. It's also very private, so yeah. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to give a trigger warning for this video. I am going to talk about self-harm. So if that's something that you're struggling with real hard right now, and this might send you over the edge or make you uncomfortable in any way, I would ask that you please take some self-care and step away and watch this at another time, that you feel more comfortable and confident that you'll be safe. Um, and if you need to grab somebody in your house that you're quarantining with, to watch it so that you can be safe, that's fine too. And you're not a failure if you have to step away. It's perfectly fine. There's a lot of things that I have to step away from, to keep myself safe too. But if you feel comfortable continuing, then by all means, welcome. Um, like I have a toxo or something. Anyway, so if I say a lot and I look away a lot, it's because this is still really uncomfortable for me. Um, a lot of people in my life don't know the depths of this for me, and it's still something that I struggle to talk about. So, um, yeah, case in point. Okay, so I wanted to talk just briefly. I won't go into a lot of detail because I don't have a lot of time right now. But this has been something that's been laid on my heart, obviously, for a long time because it's something that I struggle with. But also because I guess, and I didn't realize this until this year, that there was a self harm awareness day. And it was just recently, the month of March. And so I've just been thinking about it a lot because I realize that a lot of people struggle with this and we don't talk about it enough. There's a lot of stigma that surrounds it, and there's a lot of myths, a lot of misconceptions, especially that it's just a teen girl problem. And firstly, that's bullshit. Um, a lot of people struggle with self harm, a lot of adults struggle with self harm, and a lot of men, to be honest, struggle with self harm too. So let's just myth bust that right now. It is not just a teen girl problem. It is not just an angsty teen problem. It's not just, um, you know, it doesn't look just one way. I know the media likes to portray it in just one way. Yes, the most common way that it is portrayed is cutting. Uh, and that is a very common thing. That is one of my major things. Um, I am in recovery for that. I have not done that in a long time, but that was my thing. But that's not to say that's the only thing that people do. And I just want to say that there's a lot of different ways that people self harm. A lot of not obvious. That's a bad choice of words. A lot of things that people would recognize as self harm. But then there's also a lot of subtle and subversive ways too. So any action that you take that is abusive to your body, that is coming from like an eruption of an emotion or a release of an emotion or something like that. So punching a wall, when you get mad. Those are actually considered self harming behaviors. It may not always trip over into the addiction side of things like it does for a lot of us. Um, but as my therapist told me, that even something like that, if it is self destructive in that way, and it is triggered by the same type of emotion and the same type of need to release, that's still considered self-harm. It's not a healthy coping skill, and it's something that we need to address. So just know that there's a lot of different things, and people do all sorts of stuff. So just know that, if you struggle here, and your particular thing is not portrayed readily in the media, like I see you and a lot of people out there see you. And this is why a lot of people hide it and don't talk about it, because there's so much stigma surrounded by it, because people who don't necessarily get it, quote unquote, um, they sometimes people see it as crazy, because why would you hurt yourself to feel better? And what people don't understand is that a lot of times it flips over into this like chemical psychological response. I could make a whole entire other video about that, because I have a big beef with a lot of mental health professionals who think that it's strictly a psychological emotional response, addiction, as opposed to being a chemical one. I'm not a scientist, but I will tell you that there is some chemicals that are released whenever you self-harm, and that is why it actually feels good, as opposed to feeling bad like a normal bodily response would be. And then you do get addicted to that. It feels good, you crave it. When I was describing it to my therapist, um, she said, "Listen, you sound just like an addict." And I'm like, "Right, because it I mean, I've not struggled with substance abuse, but I have struggled with this." And she said, "Literally everything that you've said sounds just like it, just like someone who is abusing alcohol or any other substance." And that's something that I need people to know, is that for some of us, it flips over into that, and then it becomes this whole other thing. Um, and that brings me to my next point. So I wanted to encourage people right now. And also, side note, like if anybody out there is like critically analyzing this and you want to throw down about semantics and what my therapist says, or what my personal experience is, or the science of it, or whatever, please, like, if you want to give me informational things, that's fine. But please don't judge or knock my personal experience in this. I yeah, I just listen, we're not here to do that. We're here to help people and help each other. And I just think that it needs to be researched a whole lot more. Um, and I, because when I first started learning a lot about where my self harming came from in the DSM, it was hidden in a tiny little place under a personality disorder. And now we have moved on to broaden that understanding, and we're still learning about it. So I'm just saying there's a lot to learn here, and I would be more than happy to talk to somebody who has not experienced themselves um, about it, and how my body reacts to it, and how I know a lot of people react to it. And I'm getting a little pissy now, so I'm just going to let that go. All right, yes, we are here to help each other. Um, so this brings me to my next point. I know that a lot of people out there are struggling, and a lot of people are struggling in silence, and you do not have to struggle in silence. I know that this is a hard thing to talk about, and if you don't want to talk about it openly, that's fine. I would encourage you to find somebody you trust to talk about it if you haven't yet done so, because it relieves so much pressure and guilt and shame. Um, and it will help you a long, long way on your journey. Uh, but I realize that it's really hard to talk about, because people look at you like you're crazy. Um, and in this pandemic, we are isolated a lot. And one of the biggest hurdles to recovery for addiction and self harm is isolation. Because your support system is shifted to online or distanced or not enough, or those types of things. We have to do things differently. Our routines have been messed up. And isolation is a total setup for disaster sometimes, because usually when you get into trouble, it's a time whenever you need to, like, my one of my go-tos was, I have to leave the house, because if I stay at home by myself, I'm going to self-harm. um, so I would get out and I would leave and I would go somewhere. Well, right now there's a lot of places that you can't go somewhere. You can't just go to a coffee shop. You can't just meet your friend. You can't just do this or that. So this is a real big hurdle right now for a lot of people, and I understand that it's this pandemic has made it, not only because of the added stress of what's going on, but because we're literally isolated. Um, and so I just want to give you encouragement today that if that's where you are right now, or if you know someone who's there, um, you're loved and you're seen, and I see you. If no one else tells you this, I see you. Um, I get you. I may not know exactly your triggers or your hurt or your pain, but I have been there myself, in my own path, and I know how hard it is, and I know the struggle is real, and I know you can do this, and I know that you will be all right, and you can do this. You're worth it. Your body is worth it. You deserve love and care and respect, and um, you deserve to be whole. And that journey is real hard sometimes, but let me tell you, you can do it. Um, and you know what? Relapse is part of recovery. And if you try and you try and you try and you try and you slip up, it's okay. You can try again the next minute. Even if it's the next second, you can pick yourself up and you can say, you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna try again. Um, the road that you pave in your recovery doesn't get destroyed. Like, it's like literally blacktopping a road. That blacktop doesn't go away just because you hit a roadblock. It just stops. You just stop, you take a break, you rest, you pick up, you move forward. Um, and you can always do that. You can always do that. Um, in recovery, talk about a lot about that that I'm sorry. um that it's about progress, not perfection. And if you just keep going. You just keep going. And it's okay if you screw up. It's not even a screw up. That's a bad phrase. It's just it happens. It's relapse. And it's okay. You're not a terrible person. You are, take that shame shit and toss it. You know? Take it and toss it. And pick up, you know what? Self-care. Self-care instead of shame. Listen, this is it. This is where we are. I'm gonna try again. And it'll take a while. Sometimes it takes a while. And you know what? I am about 3 years into my recovery. Um, and there are days that it comes back full force. And you're just like, oh God, this will fix it. So it's not like I'm doing like rainbows and unicorns over here, and that it's happy go lucky for me and it's perfect and I'm over it. No, it's a struggle, and it's always going to be there, and you just have to pick up and keep going. um so yeah, so I just want to encourage you that you got this. You can do it. um and that if things get hard and it's a bad day, it's a bad day. Chalk it up as a crappy ass day and move on to the next day. And know that you're the road that you are paving, even if it's stone by stone, it's still there. It didn't get swept away because of one relapse or two relapses or three relapses. You know what? Nobody came and took them from you. They're still there. So just keep building away and keep moving on and keep doing you. And you are loved and you are worthy. And if you need help, please, um, if you don't have a professional in your life, I would encourage you to do so. Again, if you're not comfortable with that yet, I would make sure that you find a trusted friend to talk to it about. Um, and also, there's a couple of resources online. So, To Write Love on Her Arms is a really awesome resource. They're on Facebook and they have their own page as well. I know they were one of the forerunners um, to being very open about this. And I know they helped me an awful lot um, whenever I was looking on the internet. Help because I didn't know what else to do, and there wasn't a lot of people talking about it. So please look them up. There's the crisis text line, of course, local support systems. There's local crisis lines available in most areas. Um, And yeah, so like let's stop the shame, stop the stigma. And it takes us talking about it. It takes us being open about it. It takes us being brave and bold. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. It takes then the rest of us who are willing to talk about it to open up the door for others to feel comfortable about talking about it. So that's my spiel today. This was much longer and much more discombobulated than I expected it to be, so I'm sorry about that. And if I offended anyone, I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I guess this is just my raw, very, very raw personal journey. And I'm just looking to encourage people and like, let's talk about it. Like, if you disagree, let's talk about it. Let's get more research. Let's do this. Because it is something we need to talk about because I'm done hiding in a corner in the dark about it. And I know that there's a lot of people who are also done hiding in a corner in the dark about it and covering our chests and covering cigarette burns and covering burns from, you know, lighters and pulling your hair out and punching walls and all sorts of things that people do. Like, it takes a lot of energy and effort to hide it. And you know what? You're worth it. You're worth being out and open. And yeah, so I'll stop there because I could talk about this for a long time, apparently. Um, and I'm sorry that I've been absent for a long time. I've been hard on a lot of other things. I've been doing a lot of deep, deep work, a lot of inner child work, and a lot of, rooting out a lot of um, things in my past that need healed. And so I'm sorry that I've been absent, but I have been thinking a lot about all of you and sending out as much energy and good vibes as I could. So I hope you all have a good day and a good weekend. And yeah, this is what I got for you today. So peace out and yeah, send you all the good juju and love in the world. See ya.